Hey there friends, welcome to Izzo's Place. So, not my normal Thirsty Thursday thing, but I had an apostrophe today.
What is that, an apostrophe?
I think you mean an epiphany.
It was like lightning struck my head. Had a great idea. Well, it wasn't my idea though, so I'm just kidding. But I was watching ADHD Matt Porter, and he was reviewing a rye from Knob Creek. What's a rye? Well, it's a bourbon and a rye combined. And I tried that same bottle earlier this year, and you haven't seen the review yet because I've only done the neck pour. I haven't done the long review. But on the neck pour, I got a note of rubber hose on both the nose and the palate, like something plasticky, rubbery. Was not a fan. Now that bottle has opened up a little bit, and that note seems to have disappeared. But initially, I got that horrible note, and Matt Porter was also not a fan of that rye. But then what he did in the rest of his video is he combined, did he combine two other things? He at least combined two Jack Daniels together, a rye and a bourbon. Well, sorry Jack Daniels fans, I know it's Tennessee whiskey, but we're calling it a bourbon anyway. Just for today. Normally I do the Tennessee whiskey. Today we're calling it a bourbon. So he took a Jack Daniels single barrel rye and a single barrel bourbon, and he combined them, blended them together, and made something that he felt was fantastic. So it dawned on me, I've got two of those bottles. I should do that. And then he also made a mention that anyone that wants to do some blendings for him to try, put them in the comments. So I'm going to try to figure out a few, put them in the comments, and maybe some of my submissions will get reviewed on his channel. We'll see. I'll let you know if that actually happens. But in the meantime, I've got two blendings we're going to do today, and blendings is going to be something I do going forward. Not weekly, might not even be monthly, but we'll start blending things together to look for interesting combinations that we can do. So the first two I have for you tonight, first of all, we'll do this one second because it's higher proof. So I do have a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, and this one is at 132.9 proof. So that's pretending to be our bourbon. And then I've got a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. This one's at 134.2. So let's see if I can do the math in my head. 134.2, 132.9. That would be 166, 167.1. No, 267.1. Now we divide that in half, 267.1. 67. So that would be 130, 133 and a half, 133.55. Now we'll do the math. Where's my phone? Well, maybe we're not doing the math on a calculator. When I edit it, I'll put it here if I was correct on that or not. So I'm thinking that the proof for that is going to be 133.55. Now the second one that I have for you today, I'm going to call it the Sazerac rye. So I've got actually Sazerac rye, just their normal, like less than $30 stuff, or at least you should be paying less than $30. 90 proof, and this one the math will be a little easier. And then I've got good old Buffalo Trace, owned by the Sazerac company, also at 90 proof. So that's my second rye that I've blended together today. So what I did is I used my little jigger. I just did 50-50 blends. So I got my little jigger, so I did 1.5 ounces of each. So both of these pours are 3 ounces of whiskey. Don't worry, I'm not drinking all that. Ooh, look at the cabinet through glass. Anyway, I'm not drinking all that tonight. I'm actually going to take them home in sample bottles and put them up against that Knob Creek rye when I review it. Alright, so first I have a feeling my GERD is acting up today, so I have a feeling this first pour might hurt. So it's a good thing we're going to do the low proof one, the 90 proof. It does kind of smell like a blending of the two. It's kind of cool, not going to lie. The Buffalo Trace has some of its usual sweetness in it. The Sazerac rye adds a beautiful spiciness to it. Honestly, what I'm smelling here is what I expected out of that Knob Creek rye, and I wasn't getting. But at least not on the neck pour. We'll see how it does in the long review. Ooh. Quite a hug there. Only 90 proof is my first pour of whiskey for the day. Well, technically it might not be my first pour of whiskey for the day. Did I have whiskey last night? Yeah, the whiskey was before midnight, so 24 hours ago I had whiskey. But yeah, I'm just having some GERD esophageal issues today. But we'll see how it goes. It is a really nice blending. It's got some of the sweetness from the Buffalo Trace bourbon. It's got a lot of the spiciness from the Sazerac. Kind of liking it. So it's like Mexican candy. It's spicy candy. Have you ever had Mexican candy? My sister's brought me home Mexican candy from Mexico before. It is fascinating. It's not something I would reach for all the time, but if you want an interesting flavor experience, get yourself some authentic Mexican candy. I feel like the rye is, in addition to spicing up the nose, is also accentuating some of the sweet, because it's super candy-like. Super candy, vanillas, cherries, and caramels. But then there's a spice over top of it. Spice like a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cloves. Now I will be honest, mixing these two together, there is a quality that is almost that rubber hose, but it's definitely not as offensive to my palate as whatever that Knob Creek is doing. Okay, so while I'm swirling around my mouth, in the front, there's caramel and vanilla, but then there's just a spicy presence all the way through the pour. In the front, it's like cinnamon and allspice, and in the back, I get a blast of black pepper, and then I get a hint of taco spice, which is a note that I've gotten before on the Sazerac rye. And when I say taco spice, what I'm picturing is those cheap, like, Mama Casa taco packets. When you tear that, like if you tear that before you dump it on your tacos, like the little faint dust that comes up and hits your nose, that's what I'm getting on the back of my palate. Just like a hint of dusty taco spice. But that's okay, and I just burped. And I got the rubber nose note in the burp. It's weird. Okay, so who knows? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a burai, and that I'm maybe it's just me with a burai. There's the barest essence of it in the nose, but it's way in the background. Everything else is just spicy sweet like it should be. Even at 90 proof, it's still giving me a hug, but I think that's just what my body's dealing with today, honestly. A lot of times my body will acclimate to the whiskey. Not today. At least not for the hug. Okay, interesting. I'm glad I tried it. And I'm going to take a sample back up north and put it up against that Knob Creek Borai and see how similar or dissimilar it is. All right, now we're going to try the one that I'm real excited about. I'm going to check something real quick. After I do this, I'll pause the video. I might have two Old Foresters that blend really well together. I guess if you take the Old Forester 1910 and the Old Forester 1920 and you mix them, they call it the 1915, and it's supposedly a really good blend. So if I have at least one of those bottles here, if I have both of them, I'll blend those and record it also. And take a sample up north with me as well. Even though I don't think that'll be a Burai, but yeah. Ooh, those smell fantastic. Okay, so now this is the Jack Daniel's single barrel whiskey, single barrel rye. I did the same thing, 1.5 ounces of each. So 3 ounces of whiskey. Not drinking it all, we're taking some back north. Not going to give any notes yet. Ooh, more intense. Should be, it's almost 45 more proof points. Got some Tennessee hug there. So if you ever see these bottles, I love the shape of the bottle. I have up north, I've got a single barrel whiskey and a single barrel proof rye. And the single barrel whiskey doesn't thrill me, but the barrel proof whiskey that I have down here is really good. So, in my opinion, if you see them on the shelf, I would go for the single barrel proofs. I've also heard that if you get them, and the one I have up north is a 127 proof, and this one's 132, so 5 proof points more. I've heard that if you get them over 130, that they're better. But I mean, that all depends. Not everyone likes the high proof stuff. Even me, I think my sweet spot is 105 to 115, where I really enjoy stuff. But I definitely enjoy these higher proof ones. The nice part is it's very easy to enjoy your high proof. If it's too hot for you, you add a little bit of water, or you put a big ice cube in it and let it melt a little bit. It might just be perfect for you. Now let's go back in and we'll give you some actual notes instead. Tickles the nose. So very similar. I got the sweetness of the whiskey. I've got the spiciness of the rye. I do still get, because of the Tennessee whiskey, I still get a cola note. A friend of mine put that in my head and poisoned my brain, and now anytime I'm dealing with Jack whiskey, I will get a cola note. As long as I go in knowing it. And then sometimes even if I'm doing it blind, I'll realize what's going on. And then, oddly enough, and so when I say cola, for those of you, if I haven't explained this before, when I say cola, I'm not talking about just like drinking a Coke out of a glass. I am talking the syrup that they add the carbonated water to make the cola. So I'm talking about the syrup, and like when I worked at the Dairy Queen, the syrup came in big boxes that had like some sort of bag inside, and you'd connect it to the dispenser to do its thing. And every once in a while, you'd lose a little drip of the syrup. So I know at least once while I was working in my teen years, I'm sure I got some on my finger and tried it. So real syrupy sweet, condensed flavor of cola. And then I think because of having that cola note in my head all the time for Jack Daniels, on the rye, I don't get a cola note, but I get like a Dr. Pepper note. So it's just something that I've noticed for me personally when I'm dealing with Jack Daniels. And then later, a lot of times I'll get that banana note that a lot of people get in Jack Daniels, but it's always cola first for me. Yeah, so I got the cola in there. I don't have the Dr. Pepper. Well, I kind of do. I got the cola and the Dr. Pepper in here. There's some good vanilla. You know what? There is a little banana in there. And then the spices are there, but they're honestly on this one the sweet is a little more predominant. I think on the Sazerac Burai, the spicy was a little more prominent. On this one, the sweet's a little more prominent. And no rubber nose. No rubber on the nose. Wow, that's nice. Okay. Wow. So the sweetness was cola and vanilla. And the banana, there was like little hints of the banana trying to get through. The spice was cinnamon. Finishes long on these two puppies. I like it. When I swallowed it, you could add some black pepper and some allspice to the spiciness. But also at the same time got a huge blast of banana. I still have a banana aftertaste. So that is a super cool pour. I am glad I did that. Now granted, these are single barrels, so I can mix these two bottles as much as I want. I'm gonna be able to repeat this tasting profile, which honestly, it might be worth getting a small bottle and like just blending half of these bottles together. And then I've got 3 unique bottles of Jack Daniels. Oh boy, that's a long finish. So, if you pick up 2 of these bottles, it's really unlikely that it's going to be from the same barrel, so you might have a slightly different experience, but that's the fun of the single barrels. Oh, I gotta try that Rebel. Gotta do the neck pour on that. Maybe I'll do that after the credits. Nah, I'll just do it. I'll do that separately. Post it down the road. Yeah, boy, I really like that. So this puppy here, this will knock the socks off that Knob Creek. Cola, little hint of Dr. Pepper, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of spice. Trying to nail down the spice. The flavors are real intense though. Cinnamon and cloves. Cinnamon and cloves. I don't think there's anything else in there. That was one thing I forgot to mention. There's a heavy oak presence. It's not... That banana aftertaste is crazy. I love it. There's a heavy oak presence. It's not so overwhelming as to be distasteful. But if you're sensitive to oak, I get oak, a bit of barrel taste, and I get some tannin, so some drying on the back end. I get some tannin notes. I got the banana a little earlier that time. I must have done a better job pulling air through the whiskey, because when I would do that, I would get the banana note early instead of having to wait for the finish in the back end. Boy, that's fun. All right, well, let me know if you've done any blending. I've done some very limited blending. I blended some rye whiskeys together into a flask, and I'm hoping to create a bigger batch of that. So I'm going to get back and eventually I'm going to do a rye blend. But now I also want to make a bunch of little one-offs. We're going to start with these Boer ryes, but then I'll start going through my collection and trying to find profiles. I'll try to start figuring out profiles that would go well together, or that would complement each other, or maybe even that would fight each other. That could be a good thing too. So this is like a more scientific approach to the infinity bottle. Like the infinity bottle, you just fill it up with everything. So this is going to be a little more scientific as we go. All right, but unless I suddenly pop in and show you the Old Forester blend, if you're working, work safely. If you're drinking whiskey, please drink responsibly. But do everything with a little bit of whimsy, and you're going to have a good time. And I will see you next time you're hanging out at Izzo's place.